What's up guys and gals, Insomniambi here. I hope you guys have been enjoying the fall season as much as I have. I've been totally embracing it and just sitting here reading creepy stories and bukkakeing myself with candy corn. Today I'm going to be chilling playing the Mad King's Labyrinth, and I'm going to be reading off some creepy stories that I came across on Reddit around 3 in the morning. So let's get right to it. Was sitting in my room reading a book, facing my open door. Saw my brother walk past into his bedroom next to mine. Heard him close the door. 30 seconds later, my dad comes up to my room, ashen-faced. "Where's your brother?" he asks me. "In his room," I answer without hesitation. "No, he's not." My dad continues to look absolutely horrified. "Your brother is not home." We check his room, it's empty. We both saw the same whatever it was walk into my brother's room. Still gives me goosebumps. When I was in the 3rd grade, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and seeing the silhouette of a woman standing in my door. She definitely wasn't my mom, and I just stared at her for a bit. A little scared, but not scared enough to really do anything. Eventually, I heard a voice in my head. That wasn't mine. "She won't hurt you," it said. So I almost immediately went back to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I told my mom about what happened. And I guess earlier that morning before I was awake, both of my brothers said they saw the same woman at their door, but didn't hear the voice. We all physically described the same woman, and she looked eerily similar to our great-grandmother that died before any of us were born. My mom was freaked out. My brothers and I thought, that's weird, and didn't dwell too much on it. Okay, so these two stories are why I always close the door behind me when I enter a room, because for this exact reason, I don't want to see anyone standing there or passing by. I have this irrational fear that I'll just be sitting in my room, like, watching TV or like in my office, like, editing like I'm doing now, and I'll leave the door open and I'll see someone pass by. That's a big no for me. No, thank you. When I was 21, a bunch of my friends and I did magic mushrooms together. While we were tripping balls, I had a very vivid hallucination. I was on a rocking chair sitting opposite 3 of my friends. As I rocked back, I saw them as if they were in their late 50s, gray hair and wrinkly. And as I rocked forward, I see them normal and young in that moment again. I realized after a few times back and forth that I wasn't seeing the 3rd guy when I rocked back, meaning to say I didn't see the old version of him. I went on for about half an hour from various positions in the chair, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it, and it weirded me out. Being weirded out on a mushroom trip isn't exactly a great feeling, so I obviously got a bit hysterical and passed out. I vaguely told the guys about it the next day, and quite obviously, we all laughed it off. 8 months later, the friend I didn't see in the back and forth vision died in a motorcycle accident. This still makes me super uncomfortable 8 years later. Okay, so I got chills when I first read the story, only because it reminded me of a story that I think I told on my channel a few videos back of, like, over there in Mexico, creepy Mexico, of course, like where people would see like an old lady that everyone thought was a witch. She would sit in front of her house in a rocking chair, and the same thing, as she would rock back and forth, she would look young and old. But yeah, very creepy. I seriously got the chills reading this, because it's like, what? I mean, these people were on magic mushrooms, and the people over there in Mexico, they weren't. So I don't know, man. Maybe, I don't know, there could be some kind of truth to this. This was in the 90s, and there was a really nice pub about a mile from where my friend Jason lived, and the walk there from his house took us along one of the canals. This was in England, the West Midlands to be precise. One evening, I'd gone over to his house. We'd walk over to the pub, had a couple of pints, something to eat, and we're on our way back. It wasn't late, early evening, and still a decent amount of light. We were walking down the track beside the canal when we hear a splash in the water behind us. Turning around, we see, about 40 feet away, the ripples of something moving through the canal towards the bank. Now, both of us were keen bird watchers at the time, so we're guessing it was something like a coot or a moorhen. So we're both pretty fucking shocked when what looked like a tiny naked-ass man, about 8 inches tall, climbed out of the water, shook himself off, and dashed into the hedgerow. We were both frozen for a few moments before we headed to the spot where the little man had gotten out of the water. Didn't find any trace of him. We got back to Jason's place and spent a couple of hours trying to rationalize it, but there was no other animal or bird that we could think of that we might mistake for a tiny person. This one reminds me of a story that my friend told me while she was driving in Arkansas back home from somewhere, I don't fucking know. But yeah, she was driving home late at night and she saw like a big dog-like creature like crossing the street to go into the other side of the forest or whatever it was, and it totally freaked her out and she started crying and she was very disturbed. And I remember when she told me, I remember her like getting like emotional and like seeing goosebumps on her, like on her arms, and I was like, what the hell? And I tried asking more questions like, you know, how fast was it or how tall was it? And she said it was like as tall like as the tree lines, like, and the trees were like, I guess like pine trees, you know, like they're like this, you know, taller than like a street light. But yeah, I can tell that she was really horrified by the whole thing, and it gave me the chills because seeing her like that, like I've never seen her to be that type to get like creeped out easily. But yeah, very interesting. When I was 21, I had a dream that I'd been abducted by aliens. This is actually pretty tame compared to my other dreams. They took a blood sample, asked me a lot of questions, so I started asking questions back, like an answer for an answer. So they played along, only their questions seemed trivial: human history, civilization, life science, technology, etc. Mine were deep questions about the universe. By the end of the conversation, I had told them all they wanted to know. They had told me the meaning of existence, the origins of the universe, and the answer to every other question I asked. Finally, I asked them, "Why are you asking me this?" They remained silent. So I asked, "Why did you tell me all of that?" The one I'd been speaking to nodded to the one behind me. The one behind grabbed me. The one in front smiled and said, "'Cause we won't let you remember." He pulled a needle out of his pocket. I begged, "Please, I just want to know. I won't tell anyone. I just want the knowledge." He injected my neck and shushed me as I fell asleep. I woke up in my bedroom. It was 0200. I was kneeling next to my bed in the prayer position, naked. My clothes were neatly folded up on the end of my bed. My bed was fresh made, as if I'd not slept in it. I stood up, but felt quite weak and tired, so I go under my blanket and fell asleep. I put the dream down to being just that, a weird dream, but I can't explain the other stuff. So this one's cool. I like the idea of just having a conversation with aliens and asking them like what's our purpose and stuff like that. A part of me would be kind of afraid to ask like what's our existence, only because it could just be, you know, something not as great as we think. Like it could just be like, you exist so that we can harvest your elbows because we have no elbows and we need elbows, or some shit like that, you know. You know, like the movie Matrix, where like people just existed just to be batteries to power up, you know, the Matrix or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, this one's pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed these stories that I read for you today or tonight, whenever you're watching my video. And I hope that you guys are enjoying the fall season, and I hope you have a great Halloween. If you like these types of videos where I tell stories like this, you might want to check out my other channel, Insomniombi, which I'll post a link to in my description, where I deal with more serious topics, you know, of just things I find around the internet that are interesting to me that I want to share with you guys. So yeah, go ahead and check it out, and if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a like and maybe even a subscription. It really means a lot to me. I love gaming and just reading creepypastas and other kinds of stuff, so stay tuned for that. But that's it for me. I'll see you next time.